Which year is said to be the starting point for large-scale planning of renewable energy globally?
You chose 1975, and it is correct.
What might you need to obtain from the zoning board before installing a renewable energy system?
Clear logic. Your choice a conditional use permit or a variance is sound and 100% true.
The importance of increasing the use of non-conventional energy sources in India is in dash.
You're right. 1970 is the correct answer.
What is the percentage share of fossil fuel in the global consumption of primary energy? Good job. Your answer 56% works well here. What additional components might you need for a grid-connected renewable energy system?
Good thinking. Balance of system components is the right answer.
Which of the following is not a type of renewable energy system mentioned in the text?
Great job. Geothermal energy systems is the accurate answer.
Which fossil fuel is created from the remains of dead plants and forms into a rock?
Perfect. Coal is the correct choice.
If an energy can be completed exhausted due to the consumption, then it is said to be.
Correct response. Conventional energy sources is the most accurate answer.
What type of energy is produced from burning organic materials like wood or crops?
Right choice. Thermal energy is the best answer.
What type of power plant uses the potential energy of water trapped behind a dam? Well reasoned. Hydroelectric power plant is the correct choice.
What is the name of the device that converts wind energy into mechanical power?
Right again. Wind turbine is a valid answer.
Which one of the systems below is not connected to a ground source heat pump?
On track. Controlled ground loop is the correct answer.
Energy that comes from natural resources that can be replenished are called. Nice selection. Renewable is the correct and valid answer. What is the process of converting geothermal energy into electricity called? Exactly. Geothermal power generation makes sense and it is right choice. What is the typical power rating range for residential wind energy systems?
Smart move. 5 to 20 kilowatts is an accurate answer.
What is the potential of power generation from renewable sources in India? Well done. Around 100,000 mebabus is the right choice. What is the term for the process of capturing and storing solar energy?
Solid response. Solar harvesting is a valid choice.
The energy which has good transmission efficiency to a longer distance. Valid point. Electric energy is true.
Non-conventional energy sources are those energy sources that are dash.
Smart pick. Renewable is the correct choice. Resources that are not replenished until long after they are used are.
Nicely done. Non-renewable resources is a solid answer.
What do building inspectors ensure about your renewable energy system? Well picked. That it complies with standards is the correct answer.
All of the following are considered renewable energy sources except.
You got it. Your choice call is right.
The function of a solar collector is of converting solar energy into.
Excellent choice. Thermal energy is the right answer.
In order to use the energy inside of fossil fuels, they must be dash.
Bravo. Burned is the answer. What is a liquid renewable fuel that is made from plants like corn? Wah!
Sharp thinking. Ethanol is the right choice.
Which renewable energy source relies on the Earth's internal heat? Excellent. Geothermal energy is a brilliant choice. Reflector mirrors used for exploiting the solar energy are called. Nice work. You chose heliostats and it is correct. Select the order of components in wind energy conversion system. Strong choice. Blade gearbox generator power converters transformer grid is the right answer. What are sources of energy that can be more easily replenished? Correct. Renewable energy is the right answer.
Renewable energy resources produce less dash than fossil fuels.
Great thinking. Pollution is the right choice. What is the per capita electrical energy consumption of India? Correct. 700 kafir is the right answer. Based on usability, energy resources are classified into dash. Good job. Your answer primary, intermediate and secondary resources works well here.
Geothermal energy uses heat from dash to produce electricity.
Smart move. The Earth is an accurate answer. What are standalone renewable energy systems also known as?
Clear logic. Your choice of grid systems is sound and 100% true.
In terms of predictability, tidal energy, dash, solar and wind. You got it. Your choice is more predictable than is right. What do solar water heaters use to heat water for the home? Nice work. You chose sunlight and it is correct. Which renewable energy source is considered carbon neutral?
Nicely done. Biomass is a solid answer.
What is a solid fossil fuel that can be burned for energy?
Correct response. Coal is the most accurate answer.
Which of the following is responsible for thermal energy? Well done. Infrared is the right choice. What is the main environmental benefit of biomass energy? Valid point. Renewable energy source is true.
A disadvantage of nuclear energy is that it creates dash.
Smart pick. Radioactive waste is the correct choice. Which is the predominant limitation of renewable energy? Nice selection. Intermittency is the correct and valid answer. Energy from deep within the Earth is called dash energy. Excellent choice. Geothermal is the right answer. Which is the best orientation for solar thermal systems? Well reasoned. South is the correct choice. What is an advantage of using a tidal stream generator? On track. It's cheaper than other kinds of energy is the correct answer. The energy which is extracted from organic material is. You chose biomass and biogas, and it is correct.
Geothermal energy is mostly produced in dash in India.
Solid response. Himachal Pradesh is a valid choice.
Energy from the uneven heating of the Earth is called.
You're right. Wind is the correct answer. What is the primary source of energy for solar panels? Right again. Sunlight is a valid answer.
The heat energy available in subsurface is used in.
Great thinking. Geothermal energy is the right choice. What kind of energy is used in a hydraulic turbine?
Well picked. Kinetic energy from the movement of tines underwater is the correct answer. Uneven heating of Earth will be the cause for dash. Bravo! Wind energy is the answer. Which energy source contributes to air pollution? Sharp thinking. Biomass is the right choice.
The energy which is using the light from the sun. Good thinking. Solar PV is the right answer, which is not an advantage of geothermal power. Strong choice. Geysers and volcanoes are everywhere is the right answer. Solar energy in India is utilized through dash. Great job. Photovoltaic route is the accurate answer. How does solar energy impact the environment? Perfect. None is the correct choice. One benefit of geothermal energy is that dash.
Right choice. It can provide power 24 hours a day is the best answer.
Wind and hydrogen energy are examples of dash. Exactly. Primary and secondary sources, respectively, make sense, and it is right choice. What changes energy from one form to another? Excellent. Generator is a brilliant choice. In Tamapa, the power is generated from dash. Good thinking. Urban waste is the right answer. How much of our energy comes from water power? Well done. 11% is the right choice. How much tidal energy is used in the world?
Valid point. 3,000 gigawatts is true.
Renewable energy is important, since it is exactly. Abundantly available makes sense, and it is right choice, which is not an advantage of wind energy. Nice selection. Danger to birds is the correct and valid answer. Where can geothermal energy be used best? On track. Near a volcano is the correct answer, which is a non-renewable source of energy. Perfect. Nuclear is the correct choice. What is the main advantage of wind power? Well reasoned. Renewable and clean energy source is the correct choice. What is the main source of energy today? Bravo! Fossil fuel is the answer. The energy which is using the sun's heat. Great job! Solar thermal is the accurate answer, which produces the Tyndall energy mainly. Smart move. The force between the sun and moon is an accurate answer. Global warming is mainly caused due to. Right choice. Emission of CO2 due to burning of fossil fuels is the best answer. What is the energy density of petrol? Correct. 50 kg is the right answer. What is one type of biomass energy? You're right. Wood is the correct answer. Which of these is renewable energy? Clear logic. Your choice biomass is sound and 100% true.
In Colombia, there is tidal energy.
Nicely done. There is potential but doesn't have a central is a solid answer.
Water is renewable because it dash.
Great thinking. Can be replaced constantly is the right choice. What is the ability to do work? Excellent. Energy is a brilliant choice.
Who invented tidal energy?
You got it. Your choice, M. Janeski, is right. What is solar radiation? Good job. Your answer, energy radiated from the sun in all directions, works well here.
How you will get all these quiz questions in PDF books format.
Sharp thinking. Contact Narayan Changda is the right choice.